the New Jerusalem. Silver cities.
The makahiki ceremonies are still practiced today by Hawaiians who begin the festival with the procession of the long god, Lono Makua, as a cross representing Lono, god of agriculture, whose symbol is the conch shell trumpet. So here they are. This is, of course, scaled down version of what used to go on in ancient Hawaii. But these are modern Hawaiians today celebrating the Makahiki festival. This is kind of interesting. The Muchilinda Buddha, protected by the Serpent King, totally wrapped up inside the serpent folds. And Quetzalcoatl also wrapped up inside the serpent folds. Muchilinda Buddha equals Quetzalcoatl. The Muchilinda Buddha seems to be a separate line of mythology. It's a part of the Buddhist mythology, but it's a separate line, and it goes directly to Central America. Just as the second avatar of Vishnu, which is the turtle avatar, goes directly to Central America. It's like these are threads. You know, in the religion, you have 10 avatars, but certain avatars have direct threads to other myths. And the Muchilinda Buddha, the Buddha protected by the serpent, there's a serpent's head, a cobra head over his body, and the serpent's coils. That's a direct line to Quetzalcoatl. It's also a direct line to the Orpheus religions we saw, which we'll see this again a little bit later, where the god is wrapped in a serpent, has wings, has a lion medallion, or a lion's head, has goat's feet. Is it possible that the legend of the world savior began in Cro-Magnon times 26,000 years ago? Could the paintings of bulls and horses in Cro-Magnon cave walls be prophecy of the birth of the savior in a manger within a cave full of animals? How is that possible? Could the outlining of a hand with red ochre found on Cro-Magnon cave walls be a prophecy of the crucifixion of the Savior and his bleeding hands? Is that possible? Indus Valley Seal, 2000 BC, Buddha flanked by two bodhisattvas, Buddha flanked by Indra and Brahma. You can see the motif. There's a sitting god and two companions on either side. This motif carried all the way through. Here's Buddha with Indra and Brahma. Now, Indra and Brahma are actually Hindu gods. And what they're doing is they're begging the Buddha to teach. Buddha said, "This that I've learned can't be taught." And so the Hindu gods came down and they said, "Oh, please, Buddha, please teach." And Buddha said, "I will teach." So it's like giving the Hindu blessing to Buddhism. But you can see this motif is very old, 2000 BC, Indus Valley. Temptation of Buddha, desire and fear. Now, in the temptation of Buddha, in order to get the Buddha to break his meditation, the god of fear appears to frighten him. But he's not frightened because he's in deep meditation. And then the beautiful daughters of the god of fear, their names mean desire, they dance, and he doesn't pay attention. So the fearful gods, you can see they have teeth and horns. And the beautiful goddesses, you know, they're beauties. But see, what we have here is the same motif of Vishnu with the Ashuras on one side and the devils on the other, pulling on the serpent. This is the same balance. But instead of the Ashuras, we have fear. Instead of the devils, we have desire. And you can see the way they're lined up like this. You can easily see there would be a serpent in between them pulling back and forth. We're going back, this temptation of Buddha is going back to the Vishnu tug-of-war motif of Thuban and Polaris. Another motif. Here's Buddha depicted in parinirvana, before dying. It parallels Vishnu sleeping on the serpent Ananta. Here's Vishnu again sleeping on the serpent. The sleeping serpent motif refers to the death of the Savior. The death of the Savior is spoken about in the first prophecy, that his heel will be bitten. The cherubim. Now remember, the cherubim, of the 12 zodiacal signs that rise during the spring equinox, the ones that concern us are these four. There's Taurus right there. So Taurus rises, when Taurus rises, Scorpio, here shown as an eagle. And I still don't have the exact reasons how the astronomical symbols change from Scorpio to eagle. I'm still trying to research that. But as this one is rising during the spring equinox, this one is setting during the spring equinox. Leo is at the height of the ecliptic, and below the horizon at the bottom of the ecliptic, which is a circle, is Aquarius. But as time goes on, these change up. 2,000 years later, this is Aries. Aries is rising at the spring equinox. 2,000 years later, Pisces is rising. Then 2,000 years later, Aquarius is rising here. And all these four main cardinal constellations are back in their positions. In other words, all they've done is made a 90-degree shift in 6,000 years. Why is that important? Because when Thuban was the North Star, Taurus is rising, and a 90-degree shift later of 6,000 years, Aquarius is rising. But it's the same four constellations. And so those four constellations are incorporated in the cherubim. Here we have the Assyrian cherubim. There's the wings of the eagle. There's the body of Taurus. There's the face of Aquarius. This is a cherubim from Ezekiel's vision. Here's the face of the man. There's the bull. There's the lion. And up here is the eagle. Here's another depiction. Here's the lion, man, bull. And eagle. Yeah, eagle is that. But here, this is the worship of Mazdaism. Mazdaism was or Mithraism, it's also called, was a Persian religion that entered into Rome around, I guess 100 BC or so, and it became the leading contender against Christianity. And it was adopted by the Orphics, and in the worship of Orpheus, and they had their own god. Looked exactly like this, except it had a man's face and wore a medallion of a lion. In this case, the Persian version has a lion's head. But you can see it's the same idea. We have we have the cloven hooves, we have the wings, we have the serpent, we have the man's body, and then in between here, these are actually zodiacal constellations in between. The point being is that that's the cherubim. Why is the cherubim important? It's important because it's pointing out a 90-degree shift in the precession from one North Star to the next North Star. And to me, it's like a focus. It's like the big clock is 26,000 years. That's the big clock. That's the hour hand. But then we get to the minute hand. The minute hand is from North Star to North Star. And then we get maybe to the seconds. We might even be getting to the seconds here.